Welcome back to the boss mode walkthrough series. This is chapter 10, Imperious Woods champion mode. The mechanic here is that you cannot use any light heroes, which has not really been an issue for this particular one because we haven't used any light heroes so far. We're actually going to use the Goblin team, which doesn't get a lot of runs in boss mode, but it tends to work really well against rooms that are heavy with blue enemies. And since these guys don't have the Washu trait where they're immune to criticals, it actually is a pretty successful dungeon. So the main thing to worry about with this dungeon with the Goblin team is the fact that we don't have any fast heroes. So you are going to have to deal with these couple of fast enemies. Fortunately, they don't hit really hard. The fast heroes are the Ella clones, which they don't have anything special as far as armor goes, as far as armor piercing. And since this one here, her elemental advantage is against Squinch. Squinch is going to be armored. He's going to soak that even if she did hit him. And then she has elemental disadvantage versus the other guys. So my general suggestion is to get your Goblin Dance Party up on the first turn, and then you should be able to coast through most of this without too much issue. Um, if you get a little bit heavy on some of the blue ones, I guess realistically they could take out Squinch, but if your Goblin team is ruined out for crit, you should actually make pretty short work of this. And my Bramble isn't the best, and he actually did pretty well against a couple of them. The main thing though here is you need to be able to at least get Nub Nub to get some heals in there. If he fails to crit on his and then the other guys just keep attacking, you're going to run into some dungeons possibly like this one or some rooms rather, where everybody cycled through and they got killed before Nub Nub got a turn. So you may actually be a little bit more beneficial if your Goblin team is a little bit less potent than some other ones because of that fact. So we saw that she did get a pretty good hit on Squinch there. Kind of wasn't expecting that, so it really comes down to what's going to happen up, during the rest of this turn. Because of his health, if we kill everything too fast, it's likely that Squinch will die from the poison. Kind of one of the things you just have to basically, see where it goes. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. If your guys kill them too fast, you run the risk of Squinch dying like this. So it's not uncommon for that to happen. Realistically, you could have easily replaced Squinch with somebody else. I brought Squinch along because of the heavy dose of green enemies, and I knew that he'd be able to get some crits in there and get an extra attack. But realistically, if you wanted to stick with a nature team, that might not be a bad idea. Or if you want to take things in a different direction, bring somebody like a dark hero instead. The other benefit of having Squinch is from one of the final bosses. He's obviously going to be a nature boss, and you don't want to have all of the same color against a split boss mechanic. So that's part of the reason I also brought Squinch along. So as far as the other three, definitely bring the other three green goblins, and then just take your pick for the fourth. There's probably plenty of options you could bring. If you wanted to bring a taunter, I mean, that's one option. You could maybe try and bring Furnace, but it's likely that he's going to end up dying, and you'll have to bring a revive potion. But in this case here, we would have needed the revive potion for Squinch anyways. So we've seen this boss fight before, and we know that we have to survive that first attack, and then that's kind of when we determine what's going to happen. So if you remember from the previous one, the Sume guy has haste on him, so he's tough to hit, and then the other demon guy has the ability where he dodges everything that's not a crit. So when you use your friend heroes, we hopefully look for somebody that's going to have a high critical. Usually Kozar's pretty good here, but I also I chose to use Zerk here just because he buffs the team on that crit. Even though it's not my Zerk, it's one extra chance to get that extra buff on there. So it's kind of a gamble, really, is what it was. But I kind of expected him to crit, but Kozar is always a good option there, too. So we saw Bramble got a little bit of damage on there, and now I can really use my double attack with Zerk and hope that he gets his attack in there. We brought Squinch back to life because we want to, we obviously want to get the 3-star. This Blue Sume can be a beast if he dodges, because if he gets his attacks off, remember he's going to do some mega damage with his Soul Shred, plus he's going to hit hard on his first attack as well. So we know that Squinch probably isn't going to kill him because of the elemental disadvantage, and he dodged it anyways, so it's, you know, kind of what we'd expect. He dodged both of them. So in this case here, the Blue Sume must have lost his abilities because he didn't do Soul Shred or his other mega attack, which was kind of surprising. Since he didn't do those attacks, realistically, he should be pretty much dead on this turn. So may have to go back to a couple of minutes ago and rewatch this part of the video and find out if there was a debuff that took place. I didn't really catch it, but he definitely didn't do his big hits. But stick around next time for the boss mechanic. I also have sort of a bonus video out there with just some other teams to try and run this. I ran this dungeon a bunch of times trying to figure out alternate teams besides the Goblins. I ran a couple of shade runs just to see what it'd be like stealing the debuffs from those, or the buffs from those guys. But feel free to check those out if you want. Give you some extra options. Otherwise, stick around for boss mode. Thanks.